Lesson 37, Chemical Compounds and Parallelograms. Starting in Practice A with chemical compounds, the book tells us that the chemical formula for Freon 12 dichlorofluoride blah 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 is CCl2F2. If we have 1200 grams of Freon 12, how much does the carbon weigh? And the following amounts are the approximate molecular weights of carbon, chlorine, and fluoride. So these problems are probably going to be a little confusing, and hopefully you'll come back to these videos so you can get them straight. But we're going to be using ratios to solve them. So before we start doing any work, we need to identify which ratio we're looking for. They give us the chemical formula, which is this, and they tell us the total amount of Freon 12. So we got to find the weight of the carbon. So the ratio we're going to be doing is weight of the carbon in ratio to the weight of the total compound. So we go over to our practice problem. Our ratio will be carbon to total of Fr12. Now we got to figure out numbers for these, and that's where these numbers come in, the ones that they put in at the end of the problem. The molecular identity of the compound is very important, and these molecular weights are very important because they tell us how we're going to find our ratios. So carbon's really easy. The weight of carbon is 12, so that ratio is going to be 12. Now, as far as the total, what we have to do is we have to take the molecular weight of each of these and apply them the amount of times that the molecule shows up in the compound. So we've got, atom. So we've got 1 atom of carbon, 2 atoms of chlorine, 2 atoms of fluoride. So what we're going to do to get that total number is we're going to add those numbers up. So we add up one weight of 12. We add up 2 weights of chlorine because chlorine shows up twice. Then we add up 2 weights of fluoride because that also shows up twice. Once we add up all these numbers, we then have the ratio number for the weight of our total. So 35 and 35 will give us 70. Let's see here. 70 and 12 gives us 82. 19 plus 19, let's see, that's 20, 38. 38. Okay, so 38 plus 82 gives me 90, 120. So those add up to 120. So the total weight of Freon 12 is 120. So the ratio is going to be 12 over 120. Or you can also reduce this, and it can just become 1 over 10. So the ratio we're going to be using is 1 over 10, and that's going to be carbon to Freon 12. Now we go back to our problem, and they tell us that they've got 1,200 grams of Freon 12, and they want to know how many grams of carbon we have. From here, we just do some simple cross multiplication. In the form of proportion. So the total weight of the Freon 12 is 1,200, and we don't know the total weight of the carbon. We cross multiply to solve. We get 10x equals 1,200. Divide each side by 10. Total weight of the carbon is going to be 120, and that's going to be in grams. So the hardest part of this problem is just learning how to read all the chemistry. So make sure you get that right. Find the ratio first, use the chemistry to get the numbers for your ratio, and then apply the ratio in a proportion to solve. It's not too hard once you wrap your head around it, but there's a lot of logical concepts to get here. Now let's go to parallelograms. Those luckily are going to be pretty easy because they're very similar to all the triangle problems we've been doing. Starting in practice B, they give us this triangle. They tell us that this angle, ABC, is 125 degrees, and we need to find this angle, X, and Y. If we remember from our similar and congruent triangles, the parallelograms, because of the way the angles are set up, will make 2 sets of congruent triangles. So this triangle is equal to that one, this triangle is equal to that one. And whichever way you cut it, you can find a way to solve it. But if we go across, we can use equations to solve for X and Y. So if these triangles are equal, this length is equal to 8. So we'll write that as an equation. 2y minus 4 equals 8. The other equation we can write is x plus 2 is equal to 6. Once we solve both these equations, we have our values for x and y. Add 4 on each side of that one. We get 2y equals 12. Divide by 2. Y equals 6. Same thing on this one, much easier. Subtract 2 from each side. X equals 4. So y equals 6, x equals 4. We've got the first half done. Now we got to figure out these angles. So that comes with our knowledge of parallelograms. If you remember parallelograms, two adjacent angles are supplementary, meaning they add up to 180. So angle B plus angle C is going to equal 180. If we subtract 125 from 180, we get the length of angle C, which is going to be 55 degrees. So this angle, or angle C or angle BCD, is going to be equal to 55 degrees. And then the other thing we know from parallelograms is that the opposite angles are equal. So this angle is going to be the same as that one. So angle A is also equal to 55 degrees. Alright? And that's pretty simple to solve. Now let's go over to the last problem, which is going to work on those opposite angles. And we have to solve for angle B, angle D, and angle A. And we're going to use equations. Now remember what I said, that these angles are supplementary and these angles are equal. So we can write one equation, x plus 50 equals 10y plus 70. And the other equation we'll write would be that down here we can do 8y plus 20 plus 10y plus 70 is equal to 180 degrees, because they're supplementary. We'll solve this bottom equation because it's only got one unknown. 70 and 20 add up to 90. We're combining like terms right now. 8y and 10y give us 18y. So we have 18y plus 90 equals 180. Subtract 90 from each side. And then we get 18y equals 90. Divide by 18 on each side. 18 and 90 are both divisible by 9. Goes into 18 2 times, goes into 90 10 times. 10 over 2 reduces to 5. So y equals 5. And then we can take that value and plug it into this equation. So if we replace y with 5, that's going to turn into 50 plus 70. So x plus 50 equals 50 plus 70. We're going to subtract the 50, those will cancel, and then we'll just get x equals 70. So y equals 5, x equals 70. And we're done.